Okay, everybody, we are on week 3 instructions here, and we're going to actually start the exercise part of the program this week. And we're going to teach you guys my Burn Fat Fast aerobic exercise program because it's time to start burning some fat, and aerobic exercise is what helps optimize the fat loss. So as always, again, this is week number 3, but you guys still want to keep focusing on the nutrition first. Remember, you want to try and eat a supportive meal every 3 to 4 hours. Remember that supportive meal should have a complex carbohydrate in it and a lean protein portion every time that you eat. That's really important. Remember, we want to combine those combinations. Also, make sure you're still trying to avoid simple sugars. You want to drink half your body weight in ounces of water every single day, even on your cheat day. That's really important. So remember, keep focusing on the nutrition this week, even though we're adding exercise. Remember, 80% of your results is going to come from what you're eating every single day. So you want to focus on the nutrition part of it first. All right, now some aerobic exercise options. Anything that you can do to move your body and get your heart rate up will help you optimize fat loss. So you can do this program that I'm going to teach you today: walking. You can do it jogging. You can do it like on a treadmill, an elliptical, an exercise bike, or you could just do like bodyweight exercises on an aerobic video if you wanted to. As long as you can monitor your heart rate and monitor your intensity, your body doesn't care what you're doing. So we're going to teach you guys about the target heart rate zone and aerobic intensity. Now, in order to burn fat effectively, you need to get your heart rate up to at least 60% of your maximum heart rate to burn fat effectively. And typically you want to, when you get going on this, you want to be anywhere between 60 and 85% of your maximum heart rate to make sure you're optimizing the fat loss when you're doing this. So I'm going to teach you guys what's called the Kevorkian formula. This is the formula that uses your resting heart rate. It's a little bit more precise compared to just taking your maximum heart rate and multiplying it by 60%, and then take your maximum heart rate and multiplying it by like 85%. It's a little more precise because if one woman's resting heart rate is 60 beats per minute and another woman's is 90, that's really going to make a difference where you should be at when you're exercising. So step number 1 is you got to find your maximum heart rate. You guys want to make sure you're writing this down. And the great thing about video here is you guys can pause the video as you're watching this. So you want to find out your maximum heart rate, and all you got to do is take 220 and subtract your age. And that's your age predicted maximum heart rate. That's the most that your heart can beat physically in 1 minute. Step number 2 then is you want to find your resting heart rate. Now, if you're a nurse, I'm assuming you know how to find your pulse. What you do is you just sit down for 5-10 minutes, like or do this right away in the morning after you wake up. Sit down for 5 minutes, find your pulse, and take it for 1 minute. Or the easiest and the best way, in my opinion, is use a heart rate monitor, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Step number 3 then is you want to take your maximum heart rate and subtract your resting heart rate. And the calculation that you get from that is going to be called your heart rate reserve number. You don't need to know much more than that at this point. Step number 4 then is you take your heart rate reserve and you multiply it by whatever percent that you want to be at when you're exercising. So to figure out the low end of the target heart rate zone, we're going to multiply that by 60%. And then that calculation, you add your resting heart rate to it. And that'll be the low end of the zone for you, is 60% of your heart rate when you're exercising in beats per minute. Step number 5 then is we want to find the high end of the zone. So you take your heart rate reserve number, multiply that by 80% or 85%, and then you add your resting heart rate to that calculation. And again, that is going to go ahead and give you the high end of your target heart rate zone. So if you have to go through this again, go ahead and do that. Or again, you can just post in the Facebook group if you find your resting heart rate and tell me your age, and I will go ahead and your resting heart rate, and I can calculate it for you if this gets confusing for you. Okay. Now, let me give you a quick example then, just to further explain this a little bit. Let me give you an example. Let's say a 50-year-old person with a resting heart rate of 70. The first step, again, is you find the maximum heart rate. So you take 220, subtract his age. So 220 minus 50 is 170 beats per minute. That's his age predicted maximum heart rate, the most your heart can beat physically in 1 minute, age predicted. Step number 2 then is you take your maximum heart rate and you subtract your resting heart rate, and that gives you your heart rate reserve number. So in this case, it'd be 170 minus 70, which would give you 100 beats per minute is your heart rate reserve, if this was you. Then step number 3, what you do is you go ahead and you take the heart rate reserve number and multiply it by 60%. And then that'll go ahead and give you the low end of the target heart rate zone. And if you guys are just hopping on right now, please push your mute button. That'll give you the low end of the target heart rate zone. So again, you would take 60 plus 70, and that's going to equal 130 beats per minute. And that's going to give you the low end of the zone, 60%. So that's where you got to be at to make sure you're burning fat effectively. Step number 4 then is you take your heart rate reserve number to find the high end of the zone, multiply that by 80%. So in this case, again, you'd take 80 plus 70, and that would give you 150 beats per minute. And that's going to be the high end of your target heart rate zone. So that's where your target heart rate would zone be. If this was you, between 130 beats per minute to 150 beats per minute is where you'd want to keep your heart rate at when you're doing the aerobic exercise part of this program. And again, if this confuses you at all, just post your maximum heart rate and your age and your resting heart rate in the Facebook group, and I can go ahead and calculate this out for you. But again, try and watch this video a couple times. Again, this is going to be in the membership site where most of you will be watching this. Okay, so how to find your pulse when you're exercising. What you got to do is you got to completely stop what you're doing. So if let's say you're riding an exercise bike, you got to completely stop what you're doing. You got to go ahead and find your pulse, take it for 10 seconds, and then multiply it by 6. And that'll convert it into beats per minute. So that's how you figure it out. Now, it's challenging and it's frustrating when you do it like this, because who wants to stop exercising when you get going? You know, and you're going to want to take this, you know, every 5 minutes to find out where your pulse is at, because, you know, your pulse is going to change as you get further into your aerobic exercise program. So it can be frustrating, and I don't recommend you do it this manual way. What I recommend is you buy a polar heart rate strap, and that syncs with your smartphone. So all you got to do is look at your smartphone, and you'll be able to tell how fast or how slow your heart is beating. You know, if your heart's beating too slow, you just got to go ahead and speed up a little bit, and that'll get you up into the zone. If you're going too fast, then, you know, you got to slow it down. So the polar heart rate strap just keeps it simple and easy. And the reason why I recommend the polar heart rate straps, I've been using them for over 20 years. They're like the top of the line, and they're the one that I use right now myself. So this is what they look like. All you got to do is buy the strap, and then it just adjusts around your chest, below your chest, and right in line with your heart, and it syncs right to your smartphone. So it's really nice to have. So again, now when you also wear these straps, they do sync to cardio equipment at a health club or a gym if you are a member of a gym. So again, if you don't have your smartphone with you, you can do it at the gym and just look at the machine. But if you just use the machines alone at a health club and you put your hands on their little pulse reading machines that they have, those are not reliable on the machines at the health clubs. So I do not recommend that you use those. Okay, so this is this week's assignments to get you guys going on the exercise part of the program then. Remember, you want to keep focusing on the nutrition. That's really important. What you're going to do then this week is you're going to do 6 consecutive days of aerobic exercise. And remember, as I just explained earlier, you can do any piece of equipment like a bike. You can go walking outside as long as you're monitoring your heart rate. That's the way you got to do to burn fat. So you just want to warm up for like 5 minutes. So let's say you're outside walking. You just want to go at a nice leisure pace for about 5 minutes. And then once your heart rate gets up to 60% of your maximum heart rate, I want you guys to hold that for 12 to 15 minutes. Now, if you can't do 12 minutes of that intensity, that's no big deal. Just do what you can and write it down, so that way you can talk with me if you need to every week, so that I can update your program for you. But it's pretty, you know, once you get your heart rate up to 60% of your maximum heart rate, it's pretty simple and easy to keep it there. Most people have to slow down their pace a little bit so that it doesn't get too high. And I don't want you guys to go faster than 60% of your maximum heart rate. Keep it at between 60, no more than 70% of your maximum heart rate. The lower you can keep it, the better you'll have for fat loss at this point in the program. But try and do 12 minutes, no more than 15 minutes. That's all I want you to do this week. And then the reason why we don't want to do anymore is we want to make this a progressive program. If you try to do 45 minutes to an hour right now, you're going to have nowhere to progress to, and you're going to plateau really quickly. So we want to start at the base level and work our way up. Now, when you guys get done doing the 12 to 15 minutes at 60% of your maximum heart rate, you just want to slowly cool down for 3 to 5 minutes, slowly slow down your pace each minute. And they recommend you get your heart rate to 100 beats or less before you completely stop what you're doing. That can take a long time for most people. So I just suggest that you cool down for 3 or 5 minutes, make sure your heart rate's dropped quite a bit. And then you want to make sure that you guys stretch. There are stretching exercise videos in this week 3 instructions on in the membership site. So those are the exercises and the stretches you should do when you are done exercising. Now, we want to do 6 consecutive days of this aerobic exercise plan, and then we want to take 1 day off as a rest day. And that's what we're going to do for this whole entire program. one day out of the whole entire week, you're not going to exercise. Now that should be the same day as your cheat day or your free day with the nutrition program as well. So typically if you guys are weighing in on Saturdays, again, that would be your rest day with the exercise, and that's your cheat day with the nutrition program. Okay, so that's pretty much it for week 3's instructions. I'm sure you guys are going to have some questions that you can post in the Facebook group for me, but make sure again you guys are watching this on the membership site, and then again you guys can ask questions on the weekly coaching calls if you need to, or in the membership site.